The greatest trick ever played on you was not convincing you that money is evil. It was convincing you that wealth is complicated. They trained you to believe it is calculus, complex, mystical, reserved for geniuses, the lucky, the chosen few. It isn't. It's arithmetic, brutally simple. And the moment you see the equation clearly, you will never look at your life the same way again. The reason you are not rich is not because you lack intelligence. It is not because the economy is broken. It is not because you were born in the wrong place or at the wrong time. It is because you are operating under a belief system that was designed to reward obedience, not leverage. You are playing checkers while the wealthy are playing positioning. You are optimizing effort. They are optimizing power. Niccolo Machiavelli understood this 500 years ago. He studied rulers, merchants, generals, and princes, and reached a conclusion that still unsettles people today. The world does not reward the good. It rewards the effective. You are struggling because you are trying to be good. A good employee, a good saver, a good citizen. You are waiting for recognition for endurance, for patience, for sacrifice. But the market does not reward sacrifice. It rewards leverage. And if that sentence irritates you, good. That irritation is the sound of a belief cracking. Because in this video, I am going to show you the operating system behind wealth. Not the motivational slogans, not the inspirational quotes, the mechanics. It isn't polite, it isn't sentimental, but it works. If you prefer comfort over clarity, this is your moment to leave. Go back to the familiar narrative that hard work alone guarantees success. But if you've ever noticed that money seems to flow towards certain people no matter the economy, no matter the chaos, stay. We are going to dismantle the illusion. By the end of this, you will understand why money gravitates towards some and escapes others. You will understand how to position yourself so that income becomes a consequence of alignment, not exhaustion. But to get there, you must be willing to let go of something. The version of you that seeks approval. The version of you that confuses effort with leverage. The version of you that believes fairness governs outcomes. Machiavelli once wrote that it is a special pleasure to outmaneuver deception. For years you have been told a story about merit, about patience, about playing nice. Today we examine that story. Today we turn the tables. But before we build anything new, we must destroy the foundation of your poverty. Stop following your passion. That advice sounds beautiful. It feels inspiring. It is also the reason many people stay broke. Passion is personal. Pain is universal. Passion entertains you. Pain pays you. If you want wealth, you must understand a simple rule. Money is a certificate of solved problems. Nothing more, nothing less. The size of the check reflects the size of the problem. Small inconvenience, small payment. Massive, urgent, emotionally charged problem. Large payment. That is the arithmetic. Look at your life honestly. How are you paid? You clock in. You perform tasks. You clock out. You are exchanging hours for currency. That is not leverage. That is survival. The wealthy do not trade time. They trade solutions to pain. Think about it. Why does a heart surgeon earn more than a cleaner? It is not about moral value. It is about urgency. The pain of a dirty floor is irritation. The pain of a failing heart is death. The market pays in proportion to urgency. Not effort, not intention, urgency. If you are struggling financially, it is not necessarily because you are incapable. It is because the problem you solve is either too small, too common, or too easy to replace, and replaceability is the enemy of leverage. If someone else can do what you do tomorrow for the same price, you have no pricing power. And in an age of automation and artificial intelligence, replaceability is accelerating. Machines do not negotiate. They do not unionize. They do not sleep. So ask yourself a harder question. What pain do I remove? Is it expensive? Is it urgent? Is it specific? Or is it generic? Because generic value competes on price. Specialized value commands it. There is a difference. Imagine a pharmacy with 1,000 bottles on the shelf. Then imagine you are the only aspirin in the building. Positioning changes everything. You must find where people are bleeding, financially, emotionally, operationally. Find the chaos. Stand there. Offer the solution. Do not sell features. Sell relief. Do not charge for time. Charge for outcomes. When you understand this, something shifts. You stop asking, what do I enjoy doing? And start asking, what problems are people desperate to solve? This is not cynical. It is strategic. A prince did not secure power by pursuing hobbies. He secured power by restoring order where disorder threatened stability. The same principle governs markets. The bigger the disruption you eliminate, the more valuable you become. And once you become necessary, you are no longer negotiating from weakness. You are negotiating from leverage. If you are replaceable, you compete. If you are necessary, you decide. That is law 1. Money does not chase passion. It chases the removal of pain. Understand that, and the equation begins to reveal itself. Most of you were raised on a simple doctrine. Work hard. Keep your head down. Carry the load. Wait your turn. Effort equals reward. That formula sounds fair. It is also incomplete. If effort alone created wealth, the construction worker sweating in the sun would be a billionaire, and the investor moving capital from a laptop would be broke. But reality shows the opposite. So something else is at play. The market does not pay for effort. It pays for impact multiplied by scale. And to understand that, you must understand the difference between the donkey, the fox, and the lion. The donkey works. It carries weight. It survives through endurance. The fox observes. It studies traps. It looks for angles. It multiplies outcome without multiplying effort. The lion enforces. It protects territory. It commands presence. Most people are trained to be donkeys. Few learn to think like foxes, and almost none develop the strategic patience of a lion. So ask yourself honestly, which one are you becoming? Because if your entire income depends on your physical presence, your labor, your time, you are in a trap, a sophisticated trap. You wake up, you trade hours, you get paid, you repeat. You are not building leverage, you are functioning as a component. You are the machine, and no one wants to be the machine. The wealthy build machines, businesses, investment portfolios, software systems, media platforms. Machines produce value even when the owner sleeps. That is the difference. Leverage is the art of producing more output per unit of input. And there are 3 primary forms. First, labor leverage. 1 person working produces linear income. 10 people working under structure produce amplified income. The donkey carries the stone. The fox organizes 10 donkeys and takes a percentage of every stone moved. Second, capital leverage. Money that sits still loses power. Money that is deployed strategically multiplies. The donkey saves coins in a jar. The fox allocates capital into assets that generate return. Capital working independently of time is leverage. Third, code and media leverage. This is the modern frontier. A video created once can be viewed millions of times. A piece of software written once can serve users globally. A digital product built once can sell indefinitely. Effort once, distribution infinitely. That is leverage in its purest form. And notice something subtle. The tools of leverage are more accessible today than at any time in history. Distribution used to require permission. Now it requires execution. If you are working a job where income stops the moment you stop, you do not have leverage. You have dependency. And dependency limits upside. This is where most people misunderstand wealth. They ask, how can I work harder? The better question is, how can I detach income from my presence? That single shift changes strategy entirely. When you stop thinking like a donkey and start thinking like a fox, you stop maximizing effort and start maximizing structure. You begin building systems. A business is a system. An investment portfolio is a system. A content platform is a system. The wealthy spend their early years building systems, so their later years are spent maintaining them. The poor spend their lives sustaining output manually. Which path are you on? Because once you see the trap, you cannot unsee it. The goal is not to work forever. The goal is to build something that works for you. That is law 2. Stop glorifying effort. Start engineering leverage. Here is a truth that may sting. You are not paid what you are worth. You are paid what people believe you are worth. There is a difference. Worth is internal. Perception is external. And markets operate externally. You might be brilliant, skilled, capable, but if the market does not perceive that value clearly and instantly, it discounts you. This is not about fairness. It is about signaling. In economics, price is not just a number. It is information. In biology, status is not just ego. It is hierarchy. And humans are hierarchical animals. We are wired to scan for signals, confidence, scarcity, authority, presentation. Before we evaluate competence, you can resist that idea, or you can use it. Let me give you an example. 2 consultants. Consultant A is exceptional, deep knowledge, years of experience, genuine expertise, but he shows up in a wrinkled shirt. His website looks outdated. He responds to emails instantly. He lowers his price when challenged. He sounds grateful just to be considered. Consultant B is average, not incompetent, just average, but his website is polished. His branding is precise. He speaks slowly, deliberately. He is difficult to book. His pricing is high and firm. Who gets the contract? In most cases, consultant B, not because he is more skilled, but because he signals higher value. The client assumes expensive equals competent. Hard to access equals in demand. Calm equals confident. These assumptions may not always be accurate, but they influence decisions every day. And decisions move money. You may be underpricing yourself, not because you lack ability, but because you are pricing based on effort. You remember how hard it was to learn the skill. You remember the late nights, the mistakes, the insecurity, so you charge modestly, because internally it still feels ordinary. But markets do not price your struggle. They price their perception. When you charge more, something interesting happens. You change the signal. You attract clients who associate higher price with higher quality. You alter the conversation. You reposition yourself. This is not manipulation. It is alignment. If you present yourself as a commodity, you will be negotiated like one. If you present yourself as a premium asset, you will be treated like one. And presentation goes beyond clothing. It includes your digital footprint, your response time, your boundaries, your tone, your willingness to walk away. Desperation lowers value. Scarcity increases it. The strongest negotiation position is the ability to leave, and mean it, because confidence without attachment communicates power, and people align with perceived power. Audit yourself honestly. Do you look available to anyone, or selected by few? Do you rush to reply, or control your time? Do you discount to close, or hold firm? Wealth often flows toward the person who appears to need it least, because perception shapes positioning, And positioning shapes price. That is law 3. Master the signal, and the market responds. You think you need more ideas, more contacts, more hours in the day, more motivation. But wealth is often built through subtraction, not addition. A ruler cannot control a kingdom if his court is filled with noise, parasites, distractions, conflicting loyalties. He must remove what weakens stability. You are no different. Your life may not be lacking opportunity. It may be overcrowded with interference. Let's start with people. You have heard the phrase, "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." That is polite. Here is the sharper version. You become the standard you tolerate. If you tolerate chronic excuses, you normalize them. If you tolerate small thinking, you inherit small ceilings. If you tolerate friends who mock ambition, you slowly dilute your own. Mindset spread, energy spreads, standards spread. Poverty is not just a bank balance, it is a pattern. And patterns are contagious. Language reveals it. I can't afford that. That's unrealistic. People like us don't do that. Repeated often enough, those phrases become identity. If you are the most ambitious person in your environment, you may not be winning, you may be shrinking. Growth requires exposure to higher standards, higher expectations, higher execution. Isolation is uncomfortable, but stagnation is worse. Now let's remove something even more invasive. Noise. Look at how many hours disappear into consumption, scrolling, arguing, watching other people live. Every time you scroll endlessly, you are feeding someone else's leverage. You are the attention being monetized. You are the product, and outrage is the fuel. Algorithms are not evil. They are efficient. They amplify whatever captures your focus. And if your focus is fragmented, your progress will be too. Attention is capital. Where it goes, growth follows. If you cannot concentrate deeply on one meaningful task for several uninterrupted hours, you will struggle to build anything rare. Because rare outcomes require rare focus. In a distracted world, focus becomes asymmetric power. The person who can sit still, think clearly, and execute without constant stimulation gains an edge that compounds quietly. So ask yourself, what in your life is not building the asset? Which habits drain clarity? Which conversations dilute ambition? Which platforms fragment discipline? If it does not contribute to your growth, question its presence. This is not about becoming cold. It is about becoming intentional. You cannot scale momentum while leaking energy. You cannot build leverage while drowning in noise. Remove what weakens you. Guard what strengthens you, because the disciplined absorb the distracted, and wealth favors those who protect their attention. That is law 4. Subtraction creates strength. This is where the conversation becomes uncomfortable, because up until now we have discussed strategy. Now we discuss psychology. You were taught that money is suspicious, that wanting more is greedy. That ambition must be softened to remain acceptable. You were taught that being good guarantees reward. But markets do not evaluate goodness, they evaluate effectiveness. Effective does not mean cruel, it means competent, decisive, capable of producing results. There is a difference. Some people subconsciously resist wealth because they associate it with moral compromise. They fear becoming selfish, cold, unlikable, so they sabotage growth before it threatens their identity. Understand this clearly. Competing in a market does not make you immoral. It makes you a participant. If you open a business, you are attempting to earn revenue in a space where others are already earning revenue. That is not cruelty. That is competition. Market share is not stolen. It is earned. And if you hesitate to claim value you created, someone else will. If you avoid negotiating because it feels uncomfortable, the margin remains with the other party. If you undercharge because you want to seem reasonable, you compress your own leverage, not because you are kind, but because you are uncertain. There is a distinction between kindness and weakness. Kindness is voluntary, weakness is avoidant. You can be ethical and ambitious, you can be fair and firm, but you cannot be passive and wealthy. Machiavelli wrote that it is safer for a ruler to be respected than merely liked. In business, this translates differently. It means boundaries matter more than approval. Approval is unstable, respect is durable. If clients respect your standards, they honor your pricing. If employees respect your leadership, they execute your vision. If competitors respect your positioning, they think twice before encroaching. Respect is built through clarity, through consistency, through the willingness to enforce agreements. This does not require aggression, it requires resolve. Many people stay small because they fear being misunderstood. They fear criticism. They fear being labeled obsessed or driven. But ambition will always look extreme to those who are comfortable, and comfort rarely scales. You must become comfortable being misinterpreted, comfortable saying no, comfortable walking away, comfortable prioritizing long-term mission over short-term approval. Because the market does not reward politeness, it rewards value delivered consistently. You do not need to become ruthless toward people. You need to become ruthless toward mediocrity, ruthless toward distraction, ruthless toward self-doubt. The shift is internal, from seeking permission to claiming responsibility, from waiting to be chosen to choosing yourself. This is the amoral shift, not abandoning ethics, but abandoning the belief that restraint alone creates reward, effectiveness over approval, clarity over comfort, execution over image. Once you internalize that, wealth stops feeling like betrayal and starts feeling like alignment. Making money is a skill. Keeping money is a discipline. Multiplying money is a strategy. Many people learn how to increase income. Very few learn how to defend it. If you earn $1 million and spend $1 million, you are not wealthy. You are a conduit, a pipe. The money flowed through you and continued on its way. Wealth is not what passes through your hands. It is what remains in your control. Think in terms of reservoirs, not rivers. A river moves constantly. A reservoir stores, protects, and distributes intentionally. If your lifestyle expands at the same speed as your income, you remain dependent. Every upgrade becomes a new obligation. A larger apartment, a newer car, more subscriptions, more visible proof that you are doing well. But visible proof is expensive and often fragile. The system around you is designed for consumption. Advertising does not exist to improve your life. It exists to extract capital from it. Every platform competes for your desire. Upgrade, indulge, reward yourself. You deserve it, and maybe you do. But timing matters. Here is the rule. Labor buys assets. Assets buy luxuries. Reverse the order, and you stay trapped. If you work for money to purchase liabilities, you must continue working to sustain them. If you use income to acquire assets that generate income, those assets begin carrying weight for you. Imagine two scenarios. In the first, you finance a lifestyle upgrade immediately after a raise. In the second, you invest the raise into an asset that compounds quietly. 5 years later, the difference is invisible at first glance, but structurally, it is enormous. One person built appearance, the other built leverage. A fortress is not flashy, it is strategic. It is built in anticipation of volatility. Taxes will rise, markets will shift, opportunities will appear and disappear. Without structure, gains evaporate. With structure, gains compound. Retention requires intentional design. Understanding how to structure ownership, how to separate personal and business risk, how to protect downside while preserving upside. It also requires restraint. Real power is often quiet. The loudest demonstration of wealth is rarely the most stable. The strongest position in a room is usually the least desperate for validation. When income begins to grow, discipline must grow faster, because new income invites new pressure, requests, expectations, temptations. If you are not deliberate, progress reverses quietly. So ask yourself, are you building a lifestyle or a fortress? Are you increasing appearance or increasing assets? Because earning is only phase 1. Retention is phase 2, and without phase 2, phase 1 collapses. Build the reservoir, protect the capital, let assets carry the load. That is law 6. You are running out of time, not metaphorically, literally. Every second that passes is permanently spent. You feel young. You feel like there is room to drift. There isn't. Time is the only asset that does not replenish. Money can be regained. Reputation can be rebuilt. Skills can be relearned. Time only moves in one direction. The poor trade time for money. The wealthy trade value for money and use money to reclaim time. That is the fundamental divide. When you spend an hour doing a task that could be delegated for $20, you are declaring your time is worth $20. When you wait in line to save $5, you are pricing your life in increments. Most people never calculate their effective hourly rate. They think in monthly salary. They think in yearly income. But wealth is built at the hourly level. If your goal is to earn $1 million per year, divide it. That is roughly $500 per working hour. Now ask yourself, are your daily actions aligned with that valuation? If you are spending hours on low-value tasks, you are misallocating your highest asset. This is not arrogance, it is arithmetic. High performers become ruthless about time. They automate repetitive work. They delegate what does not require their unique skill. They eliminate what does not produce momentum, not because they are above basic tasks, but because they understand opportunity cost. Every hour spent on maintenance is an hour not spent on expansion. Every unnecessary meeting, every distraction disguised as obligation, every conversation that drains clarity, it all compounds quietly. Weaponizing time means guarding it, protecting your calendar, designing your schedule intentionally, learning to say no without explanation. Scarcity increases value. The more access people have to your time, the less valuable it becomes. And here is the paradox. When income becomes detached from time, when you build leverage, the next step is defending the time you regain, because autonomy is fragile. If you build a machine that generates income but fill your reclaimed hours with noise, you have not achieved freedom. You have changed costumes. You are not here to be busy. You are here to be effective. Calculate your desired income, translate it into hourly value, then align your actions accordingly. Stop burning high-value hours on low-value activities. Stop confusing motion with progress. Time is not neutral. It is either invested or consumed. Used strategically, it compounds like capital. Ignored, it disappears without warning. This is Law 7. Buy back your time. Protect it. Deploy it where it multiplies. Because in the end, wealth is not measured by what you own. It is measured by what you control. And the rarest thing you will ever control is your time. The world teaches you to play fair. The market rewards those who play intelligently. In finance, there is a concept called asymmetry. It means you structure your moves so that the downside is limited and the upside is expansive. Most people choose the opposite. They accept capped upside and unlimited dependency. A job offers predictable income, but the ceiling is predefined. You will never wake up to discover your salary multiplied by 100 overnight. The upside is restricted, and the downside? Termination, replacement, restructuring. That is fragile asymmetry. Now compare that to building equity, launching a product, creating content, acquiring a rare skill, investing in assets with asymmetric payoff. The downside is often contained: time, effort, initial capital. But the upside? Unbounded. One piece of content can reach millions. One investment can compound for decades. One skill can reposition your entire trajectory. Asymmetry is not recklessness. It is intelligent risk. It is choosing moves where the math favors you. And to do that, you must identify your edge. What do you understand that others overlook? What are you willing to endure that others avoid? What skill can you sharpen until it becomes rare? Do not aim to be balanced. Balanced people are stable. Specialized people are valuable. Find your unfair advantage, your location, your network, your obsession, your tolerance for discomfort. Sharpen it. Apply it where competition is weak. Do not compete broadly. Concentrate force, because value concentrates around rarity. That is asymmetry. Now we arrive at the final law, and it is the most uncomfortable. Hope is not a strategy. I hope I get promoted. I hope the economy improves. I hope I get lucky. Hope is passive. Hope waits. Markets reward action. No one is coming. There is no external rescue, no hidden benefactor, no perfect timing. Waiting delays agency, and agency is the only lever fully under your control. When you remove the fantasy of rescue, something interesting happens. Fear appears, and behind fear, freedom. Because if no one is coming, then it is up to you. And if it is up to you, then you have authority. You do not need permission, you need a plan. A plan is not inspiration, it is sequence. Acquire a high-value skill. Apply that skill to a painful, expensive problem. Charge appropriately. Retain capital. Acquire assets. Repeat. It is not glamorous. It is not cinematic. It is repetitive. And that is precisely why most people will not execute it. They will drift back to hope, back to distraction, back to comfort. But if you remove emotion from the equation, wealth becomes arithmetic. Solve meaningful problems. Apply leverage. Protect capital. Reclaim time. Repeat long enough, and the outcome compounds. This is not motivational fantasy. It is structural inevitability. If the inputs remain consistent, the outputs follow. So the question is no longer, can you become wealthy? The question is, will you execute long enough for the math to work? Because once you understand the rules, the game stops feeling mysterious. It becomes mechanical, and mechanical systems produce predictable results. Remove hope. Install strategy. Replace waiting with execution. Wealth is not reserved for the chosen. It is constructed by the disciplined. The blueprint is visible. The laws are clear. The variables are in your control. The only remaining uncertainty is you.